Okay, gentlemen, we have everybody call the meeting to order. It's Wednesday, April 21st, 6 o'clock with the Wareham Finance Committee. May I ask the clerk to call the roll, please?
We have Chairman Bernie Pigeon, Vice Chair David Hurd, Tom Worthen, Jody Smith, Glenn Lawrence, and myself, Jerry Stefanski. So we have 6 of 9. We got a quorum.
Very good, thank you. On the finance matters, I'd like to finish as much as possible we have of the annual town meeting and the special town meeting this evening. It shouldn't be very long. And as I was telling David earlier, I think we're almost done with the annual in terms of our recommendations. And if we get them done tonight, we can almost say that by the end of the weekend, after David and I go through and proof the whole thing, we can pretty much consider going to the printer. The special only has very straightforward articles. There's no extra charts, et cetera, et cetera. So that should be very good. So we'll start with Article 6 on the capital plan. Did everyone get the copy of the water pollution control requests? Comes up to about $995,000, all coming out of the enterprise fund. Are there any questions? May I have a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
May I have a second? Motion.
Just before you vote on it, though, I'm voting to recommend. I was curious about our, and I always ask this question: what do they do with the pickup truck? Is that a trade-in? Are they getting some money, something for that? And I heard about the trash truck that's just a piece of rolling junk. But just kind of curious if they accumulate equipment like some towns do and some departments do. That would just be my only question, and I'm not going to lose any sleep over tonight if I wouldn't expect them to be here to answer it. But at some point, I would be just curious. I don't want to belabor the point at town meeting.
My presumption, and it's only a presumption, is that the pickup truck would be complete with a plow and all. And if it's possible, I would suspect that they would definitely trade in, unless it's yeah. Why accumulate junk around the property?
No, but Jody's correct. There is a tendency to accumulate. A lot of stuff does get accumulated. So I don't have an answer for that one.
Well, that's why I asked a question about the generators. I didn't know if they could use parts off of them and things like that. Take two and make one. I don't know. Obviously a brand new truck. The trucks you're getting rid of, there's probably not much on them that would be useful.
Right.
But still nice to have an extra truck around the yard sometimes if you need it.
Yep.
I think, I'm not sure if they were specific to the generators and all, but Jim alluded to the fact that everything was just so old, hard to fit. Everything is at 10, 15 years old, so that the replacements are totally different than the ones they're taking out.
Yeah, he gave a great explanation. That's fine. I get it. But, if you don't ask the question, you don't know.
Indeed. I made a note here, so I'll just check with Jim to follow up on the information.
It just is a matter of practice. We ought to see some piece of paper that goes somewhere that justifies the purchase. What the old one, how old it is, what it's costing for maintenance, how many miles it's got on it, and what the disposition is. It's just a normal standard practice when doing a capital investment. We don't see any of that.
In one situation I had, excuse me, there were separate groups, and they actually went out and looked at the equipment. We, for some reason or other, seem to have a compressed time frame, and we don't do that. But it's not to suggest we can't. We really should.
No, I'm not suggesting it for this one, but as a practice.
I agree with you, Tom. That's what I agree with you wholeheartedly. Now that you mentioned it, it comes back to mind that, yes, I had a group within another finance committee, and they would literally go out and check all the equipment, ride it around, you start it up, look at, as they said, the frame was rotted. Okay, show me the frame. They put it up on a lift and they take a look at it. A lot of things we don't do, a lot of things we should do. And Tom, you're quite right.
Well, Dominic can do that.
And he's not here to defend himself, so we'll appoint him.
Oh, he'd agree to do that.
Okay, on Article 6, the capital plan, may I have a motion? I think we had a motion. May I have a second?
This is,
I believe Jody seconded that one.
I thought I made the motion. I'll second it then.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor, clerk call the roll, please.
Bernie,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Jody,
Yes.
Glenn,
Yes.
Dave,
yes.
myself, yes, 6-0-0.
Thank you. Next item is Article 7, which is the budget itself. There's been no changes from the review we had of the departments. All the numbers were the same. Initially, Derek thought there would be something that they would be purchasing for the Public Works Department, but they found that David feels he has it within his line items, and there's not a different situation, nothing separate or nothing unusual. So everything remains as we initially reviewed. Any questions, concerns?
I have a number. As you know, I've been collecting expenses, payroll, and I have some different ones than from the originals. Some that were provided by town hall, some that were provided by the departments. I mean, I'm going to go along with it. I don't want to hold this process up any longer. But there are a number of them. I mean, I'm looking at this one. It's almost a $25,000 difference in what I was provided before and what I was provided with the latest budget that came.
What are you referencing, Jody?
When I asked the department heads that gave them what their payroll was on that, the town human resource person provided me with some information on payroll and expenses.
Okay.
But like the first one I'm looking at, there's a difference of $8,500. Is that coming out of payroll? Is that coming out of expenses? That what she gave me? I just trying to keep this. I'm trying to get a starting point. So next year, I mean, I've spent 2 years kind of accumulating what I've got, and COVID kind of threw the whole thing out of kilter this past year. But I'd just like to know where it's coming out of. I mean, there is a difference. I mean, I'm thinking the town planner's budget had a huge increase from what they originally gave me. They kind of positioned in there or something, because that has actually gone way down. So not everything has gone up. Some have gone either way. So those are my questions, and I'll try to get them answered between now and town meeting. But the one I would like somebody to look in, I got two. Council on Aging. It says Council on Aging, 42.5. And I didn't pick this up at the time. What is that for? Is that just for one person, a department head? No expense money?
Well, then if the salary line item, yes, there's no expenses on that line item. There would be expenses, it would be a separate category, and that's a single line item, that's her salary.
Right, but it just says Council on Aging, 42.5.
Yes,
That's
that's her salary.
okay.
Now, the other items that you referred to, Jody, and I'm not saying they're in its totality. The figure you may have received versus the one we see, the figure that we have in our budget, all the line items, unlike in school committee, are bound in that. That's the total for salaries that can all be spent. Now, the difference you may be seeing,
I understand all that.
it's complete, is if they go out, as an example, if I was salaried and I take this budget, this report, go down to Staples and get them to print it, pay for it with my credit card, and I'm reimbursed. Well, that $1,200 I spent now becomes labeled as that income. It's a funky way of accounting. I don't understand it.
That's town. But I also spent time doing I got the last 4 years town reports, and went through what their actuals were, what they got reimbursed. And I went from 2020 back to 17. I got kind of a little funky there because one of my questions got answered, when I was going through it, because I couldn't understand the town inspectional services, why the town, he started at such a higher salary than the previous town, can't think of his actual position. The guy inspects everything, the house and stuff.
Was that
The building inspector?
Building inspector, thank you, David. The previous one was making 85, and they brought the new gentleman in, he's up to 102. But he had worked for the town before.
Yes, Dave,
I didn't know what the circumstances were, but when I went through the town reports, I kind of picked up where things started and ended. But I just thought that was interesting. The other one, and I'm sure this is just a typo, if somebody might want, under the street lighting, they never added in. If you look at the street lighting, they got $90,000 municipal period lighting, 95 for a total of 185. Then they got then street lighting total expenses 185, but they got a total of 135. If you look at it, something didn't get added up right. If you look at it, they got 90, 95. Then they got 185 total expenses for a total of 135. Just doesn't add up. So before people look at that, they might want to correct it. And
it gets down to our accounting systems are just
what is in our budget that we
too old.
gave us? And that's what we're voting on tonight.
Yeah, but I'm sure that's a typo. I would, use Excel. I don't know why the cells all didn't add up, but that's what, I don't know how it came up with 135. I couldn't figure that out for whatever reason, if you look at it, but somebody should correct that before it goes out and people look at. I'm done. I won't ask anything else. I gotta go to dinner, but
Okay, I'll check the lighting.
Bernie, do you have a total figure, revenue, since revenue equals expense, do you have the total figure of either the
Bottom
revenue?
line?
Yeah. I have it if it's the one that Derek presented to the selectmen. That 10-page.
Yeah, I have the total of $61,259,774.
Okay.
That's inclusive of the schools.
Okay, because I have an estimated budget a little bit different.
Mine is an accumulation of the budgets that were presented to us by each individual department.
Okay.
No alterations from Derek or anything of that nature.
Okay.
If they're different from what he has to live with our budget, not because I have no awareness of changes. In fact, I was going to go through the audit today. I haven't done that. I was doing the expense, revenues, et cetera, charts. But that is the figure we're voting on. And unlike the school department, all those line items you see is what we're voting on. We're not voting on any bottom lines of any departments. We're voting on in its totality. So if grease is at a certain amount, they can move it amongst the expense. But that's all it is on the bottom line is expense. Any other discussion?
motion to recommend.
I have a motion to recommend. May I have a second, please?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any further discussion? May I have the clerk call the roll, please?
Bernie,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Jody,
Yes.
Glenn,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes,
myself, yes, 600.
And the last one we haven't addressed yet on the annual town meetings, Article 11, which is the union contracts. This is the only one. And it's I think you all have a copy of that contract. It was 2.5%.
Hmm.
And it goes for a 3-year period. Any discussion, gentlemen?
Well, in addition, there's some funny things about sick leave and where they've advantaged some groups of employees. But I mean, and I'm sure that there was a lot of time wasted getting through all of that and compromises made. So it's not worth. We're not going to be able to do anything about it anyway. So
No, it's all part of the negotiations.
yeah,
Would we as town meeting and have an opportunity to vote on is the 2.5%, we could reject that if we find it extraordinary. And that's usually what the only area we have the opportunity to vote on is the actual increase of percentage. I think we've done that before. I've done it in other areas. And yes, they've come to a point where no, they thought the level was extraordinary and rejected the contract, but it's based exclusively on that percentage of increase per year. So I have a motion to approve, gentlemen, please.
Motion to recommend.
Second,
Motion's made and seconded. Any further discussion? There being none, clerk, call the roll, please.
Bernie,
Yes.
Tom,
yes,
Jody,
Yes.
Glenn,
Yes.
Dave,
yes.
myself, yes, 600.
Okay, the only exception on that would be Article 23, which is the town charter, Chart 2. Claire has advised that she's going to be calling for each separate category, that is definitions, transitional, capital planning, etc. And we've approved all of them with the exception of the road commissioners. I made a note of that in our explanation. And the selectmen were, everyone, more frequently there was one individual who opposed, but primarily they're all plural. And with the exception, again, with the road commissioners, they disapproved also, as we did. The NIP and the refer to the petition article and the initiative program, we've taken care of that. The selectmen have yet to do that because they're going to have the petitioners come before them next week. The selectmen went through all the articles on the special last night and they voted, and I'd like for us to review. We've completed most of them. There are still a few outstanding. Article 1, which is the budget transfers. There will be one transfer. Apparently, the veterans assessment that comes through mostly on our cherry sheet is different than anticipated, or no, this is last year. It is different than we had budgeted, and so there'll be an adjustment. Derek wasn't able to say what the amount will be, but it's minimal in terms of $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000. I think our assessment is around 400,000. And what we do is provide veteran services. Through that, we have a separate category which we share a veterans agent. So we'll go down to fund the parking program. That I don't have a figure on. I know it's about 100,000 in the parking program. We lose money on the permits. We make money on the kiosk. And there's a certain percentage of the parking program which is committed to the community commission, community events commission. And through that, we contribute a significant amount of dollars to support our fireworks. So the town does contribute to the fireworks program, as well as a number of other programs. Obviously, the Onset Association has a lot of activities going on down there, but the community events also subsidize some of those, as well as our own programs.
I believe that out of the parking, 45,000 goes to the onset community events.
Yes, the range was 35 to 45, yeah. Did you key in a meeting last night, David? Were you there?
I listened. I watched it on channel 95. Yes, I was not a member.
It's amazing the amount of information the selectmen put out there when they start talking.
Oh yes.
But on that, may I have a motion, please, to fund the parking program?
So moved.
Second,
Motion's made and seconded. Any further discussion or questions? There being none, I ask clerk call the roll, please.
Bernie,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Jody,
yes.
Glenn,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
myself, yes, 600.
Thank you.
Can I just say one thing about that real quick? You
Sure.
know, you read a lot of stuff about onset and stuff, but basically that parking money, 35 to 45% of that money goes right back to onset. Is that a safe statement to say?
Mhm.
I mean,
More than that. I would say.
More than that.
it's more than that at the end of the day with everything that gets done, I get it, but just if you look at $100,000 and you're talking 35, 45%, you know, that's simple math. I could sit there and do that without a pencil, but yeah, it's just, there's a lot of money that goes back in down there, you know, and for good things. I'm not saying it shouldn't, but it's well worth it, you know, but
Oh, indeed, that's what we're known for, having the number of events that go on down in Onset through the course of the summer.
yeah.
The next one
They're
is
sorely
the,
missed.
yes. The next one is the Spring Capital. And what they're doing is replacing a 2005 pickup truck. And that was 20,000. And they're also replacing the animal control vehicle. The current one is too small and they're only able to fit one animal in the back of it. And if they have two, as they said, one of them rides shotgun. But if, depending upon the condition of the animal as well as its disposition, it could be dangerous to bring two of them in the vehicle. And as a result, they're going to buy a larger vehicle, and there is a slide or something that goes in the back that allow them to contain more than one animal. And the truck itself will be about 40,000, and the slide that they're referring to that fits into the back, it isn't a integral part of the truck, is 35,000. And that the truck itself will be handed down to the Weights and Measures and allows the Weights and Measures Department, which I think is a contractor, to utilize that vehicle. And the total
Slide is 3,500 or 35,000.
35,000, I'm sorry. And the total cost is
So the whole thing is $80,000? The truck?
75, I
the
believe.
truck is 40 and the slide, as they refer to it, is 35.
Christ, you might as well buy two trucks.
Yeah. The slide is extraordinarily expensive. There was several comments last night because of the value of that particular item. It goes in, but it's air conditioned. It's attached to the truck air conditioner and all.
Show us some
It
pictures.
has a separate air conditioner. That's separate. It's a self-contained unit, so to speak.
We treated our animals well.
Even the rogues that they picked.
Right.
But then they'll downgrade. There's an initial amount of $1,222,623 in free cash. When this is complete, there'll be $1,127,163 left in free cash. Other than the extraordinary expense, Tom is still making faces.
I mean, I can't imagine it.
I know, as I say, it's a self-contained unit that slides into the back of the truck.
Yeah. I mean, it's obviously unacceptable to put whatever the animal might be in the shotgun seat. I mean, I wouldn't want him up there with me. I mean, that's insanity. That's just an accident looking to happen somewhere.
Or, I mean, we are what are the options?
Yeah,
Can't you just pull a chain across the middle of the damn truck or down between the left side and the right side? It seems like we've got very special animals that need specials. Each one needs a special environment to travel in.
Well, I'm not sure if how separate the cages are in the slide. As I say, it's a self-contained unit, it has air conditioning and all. But apparently if she has two animals she has to transport, currently she's not able to do so with a certain amount of safety if she has to bring one in front with her. And if the animals are...
No, I understand
Yeah.
the problem. I just don't understand the solution.
I'm just saying, like, put a net in the middle of the van and just let one side of the net. But yeah, I mean, you don't know what the kind of animals or anything else. I mean, it could
In
be.
the old days, we used to slide in a piece of plywood. It was
Yeah.
fine.
No, it was not well defined last night.
No, it was the cost and try to explain it, but there was no in-depth going forward. And I'm not sure if it was because the administrator didn't have enough time to prepare for it or what, because he had been off the previous week. But this is Article 3. May I have a motion, please?
So Bernie, just to make sure, it's for the 20,000 for the pickup and 75 for the doggy vehicle, for doggy
Yes.
truck.
Yes.
Okay.
The vehicle that she's currently using will be passed over to the Weights and Measures Department. And it just be passed over, needs to be washed and disinfected.
I think what it was is that they're replacing the 2005 Chevy Colorado that
Yeah, it's a little truck.
it's a little truck that's being used right now. And what they're doing for the animal control vehicle, that's a pickup truck that's 40,000. And the sliding cages is 35. So they're looking for 75,000 for that. I think that the other option that they're not doing was talking about paying another 20,000 for an SUV to replace the Chevy Colorado. They're not doing that. The Colorado, as Bernie said, is going to Weights and Measures to be used for transportation for the person who does the weights and measure for the town. And apparently he also does the weights and measures for other towns, which Wareham gets reimbursed for.
My information, David, I just disagree. The Colorado, as you're referring to, the 2005 pickup, they're replacing that. That's the $20,000. And then the pickup for the animal control is 40,000 with the 35,000 for the slide. So a total of 95,000. And with 95 subtracted from the 1,222 comes out to 1,127 mathematical. Yeah, so they're replacing the Colorado, which is a 2005.
All right.
That's a separate vehicle.
All right.
David, would
See
you like
Selectman
to?
Slavin with his hand up there if you want
Going to the dogs, Alan. Pop in.
Yeah, well, I'm running all over the place today. What's happening is the 2005 Colorado is about 16 years old and it's ready for the junk heap. Basically, it's all patched together. The 2016 Ford Transit that was being used for the animal control, that is going to be used for the weights and measures, the perfect vehicle for that. And we're going to go ahead and then buy a new pickup truck for the animal control officer. And then we're gonna basically buy what we would call really a modified camper that slides into the bed of the pickup, which would be air conditioned, will have room to take more than just one dog, which is the vehicle now only can do. And that's what's happening, actually, just the
Yeah.
correct way. Yeah.
So
think
it's
it was
not a
the,
van type vehicle. It's a pickup truck with a slide in.
Yes.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, yep, okay, got it.
Okay, Article 3. Could I have a motion to approve, please?
So
That's
moved.
Have a second?
second. That's
Motion's made
spring
and seconded.
capital.
Ask clerk call the roll, please.
Bernie,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Jody,
Yes,
Glenn,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
myself, yes, 600 on that one.
Article 4 is a transfer of available funds. My understanding, is it requesting a transfer of 100,000 from free cash. And the purpose will be to subsidize matching funds that may be required for grants. There are some small grants that we apply for and they require a matching funds. And in order to get the funds, we would have to go through town meeting. And the process of having this funds available to be dispensed exclusively by the town administrator would allow us to do so on a more timely fashion. So it would be put into a separate fund, which would be exclusive for the purpose of matching funds for whatever grants we may have received. Now, you can consider if it's only 100,000, the grants would have to be small, but as I said, they may be necessary, but not high on a priority list. But if we are awarded the grant, we can match the funds that are required. There are none in the pipeline that is currently existing. He was just anticipating the potential for this happening, and it would be a convenience to be able to take advantage to be accept the grant with our matching funds and then go forward with whatever the grant supports instead of having to wait until town meeting comes up for an appropriation. Any comments, concerns?
No, I think that's a good idea. Be able to apply for grants and hopefully get them. Yes.
Indeed, and some of these grants are often timing, there's a timing issue on them also. Any further questions or concerns, gentlemen?
motion to recommend.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any further discussion? May I have a clerk call the roll, please?
Bernie,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Jody,
Yes,
Glenn,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
myself, yes, 600.
The next one on the special town meeting is Article 8, which is marijuana delivery operators. And it's been determined that they will limit the number within the community. Let's see. Limit of 3. Now, these would not be retail sales. These are just the manufacturers, and they can do delivery. But if we have a Life down next to Toby, they could not do deliveries. Only the manufacturers can do deliveries and processors. And
Deliveries to whom?
beg your pardon?
Deliveries to whom?
I'm sorry, this is marijuana.
I understand what the product is, but who do they deliver to? They're not delivering to consumers.
Yes,
yes, they are.
yes.
So they're a manufacturer who is
The
a retail.
manufacturer is doing a quasi retail operation by home delivery.
Whew.
Yeah, nickel bag with your six pack.
Now, they don't have to exclusively deliver within Wareham. They can
Right.
deliver into Carver, Bourne, Marion, or wherever. And the key is though, if a Bourne has a delivery operation approved and they deliver to Wareham, Bourne gets the profit, the 3% sales tax and then the 3% back from the state. Bourne gets it even though it was delivered in Wareham. And so they're trying to take advantage. They had a couple were doing an approval. They were last night for this possibility as well, because they're going to be manufacturing.
But, this may all sound stupid, but they're some of their customers are retailers in town, right? So they're working
Well, they're
both
not gonna-
sides of the street,
They're not going to be delivering to a retail establishment, Tom.
but they're a manufacturer of product, right?
They will deliver to a consumer.
I understand that, but there
Yeah.
also are retailers in town who are probably selling the same product at retail. So
Yes,
they're selling to retailers for resale, and they're selling to consumers for direct consumption.
I see your point. They're a manufacturer and they're supplying Verilife.
That sounds,
It's the way the Cannabis Commission wrote this up, and their purpose in doing so was to assist minority groups or minority manufacturers from getting into the retail business, because the retail business had obviously been taken over by these conglomerates, so to speak, and they were not able to get into it. Like as an example, Verilife started out as a small-time operation, and they've been sold at least 3 times. So now they're owned by a corporation. We have the ability to allow a manufacturer to do home delivery, and the maximum license they will issue, the selectmen will issue, will be 3, or not an issue a license or a host. It's a host agreement.
Bernie, the way I see it is it's income to the town. And if a delivery is to happen, we don't have no deliverers in Wareham, other towns will deliver and get the revenue.
Yeah, I think that's the bottom line. It's a revenue issue. And if we don't do it in Wareham or allow it to happen in Wareham, as Jerry has pointed out, we don't get the revenue.
They would try to build up their customer base as large as they can. And that would benefit the town of Wareham. But on the other hand, the retailers, Verilife, it has to hurt them some. People don't have to leave their house. That's just the way it's gonna go.
Yeah,
But how much? I mean, that's a number you may never be able to figure out.
yeah. But it's not our problem. It's the Cannabis
No.
Commission that decided this. It's way out of our control.
But like I said, you'd rather see it in Wareham than Bourne or Carver or whatever, but
And it is, as Jerry points out, it's a revenue issue. We can either take it or kiss it goodbye. And which will impact Verilife, because if Carver gets the ability to do home delivery, they would be competing with Verilife.
Yep.
And we'll lose money, or we have a reduction in revenues from Verilife.
I would sit and work a deal with Verilife, and as the manufacturer deliverer, Verilife, call me if you got an order. I'll take care of it. We'll split it.
You would have thought that would be the way, Tom, but this is government controlled, understand?
Well, it sounds like it's out of control.
Yeah. Rationality does not fit in the decision-making process. Okay, may I have a motion, please, to approve marijuana delivery operators?
Motion to approve.
May I have a second?
Wait, let me ask a question real quick. So if I understand the terminology here, this would be placing a cap on the number of delivery operators that we would be allowing in the town.
Yes, I believe it's self-imposed. There's, by that I mean, there's nothing in the Cannabis Commission that would limit it.
Right. So if there were 4 or 5 and this passed, then the first 3 in the door would basically be the only ones that could operate.
Yes.
Except they'd go to New Bedford and get the thing and work the other way around. It sounds like.
Right. Well, I just wanted to make sure the way I was reading this, it reads as a cap to say it's going to be limited to 3, that we
Yes.
don't want any more than 3.
In Wareham. Now that doesn't, as
This is
Tom
big.
said, if you're out of New Bedford, you can deliver to Wareham or
As long
Brockton
as
or
they have a
anyplace else.
$35,000 trailer in the back for. So you can keep
Well,
it
they-
separate.
Are they going to be like Domino's and guarantee 30 minutes or less? I mean, exactly how does that work?
Oh, my God.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I was understanding that statement correctly.
Okay, I still need a second.
Second.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any further discussion, please don't. And, okay, call the roll, please, clerk.
Bernie,
Yes.
Tom,
I'm not going to vote on this. I'm
You
Yeah,
abstaining,
abstain.
Tom?
pardon me, abstain. Yeah.
Okay,
Jody,
Yes.
Glenn,
Yeah, I'm going to go abstain. I don't know that I'm real crazy about the idea of capping business, but
Dave,
Yes.
myself, yes. So I believe that's 402.
yes,
Hey, Bernie,
yes.
just for reference, everybody, there's actually 2 different programs. One is called Courier and the other is Delivery. A place like Verilife could hire a firm, to basically pick up stuff and deliver it right to the customer as a courier. And then there's delivery program, which is separate, again, the idea of having a cap, I would agree with some of the members, makes no sense because right now, Middleborough has just approved 2, is going to approve a couple more, and they'll be in before we are, so we will lose some business no matter what, because they'll be advertising here.
So the couriers count in that three number or
No.
not? Couriers are separate.
Courier is separate. There's no limit for couriers, because the courier just picks it up from the retail operation and delivers it to the retail store's customer. Sorry, it's so confusing, but that's what they've done.
And Alan, the courier is not licensed or anything, right?
No, a courier still has to get a host agreement though.
Okay. So you can be as a retailer, a manufacturer, a courier, and get really high.
That's a good way to put it, Tom.
You can't smoke and drive at the same time, Tom.
Not yet.
Only if it's in gummy.
Mm.
Okay, the next one is Article 10, is the wetland bylaw amendment. And that is only applies to downtown WV-1, which is Main Street. They initially had onset, OB1 in it, but the selectmen chose to remove it. And that is, may I ask, David, could you explain this one to us, please?
This is to permit or to bypass the restriction, I believe it's 50 feet from the water, on areas that have been previously developed or built. So if someone had built a structure 50 years ago or 20 years ago, and a new developer is coming in to modify it, such as the Greer lumber area. That area had been developed and it was in the coastal zone, but they still have to meet the requirements, other requirements of the town, but they're not expressly prohibited from building in that area. They still have to meet other requirements for conservation and zoning, but they're not prohibited from
The
working in
setback
that area.
is different, right? Is that right, David?
Say again?
The setback from the shore is different than normal if it hadn't been built on previously.
That is correct.
Okay.
Still has to go through all the Conservation Commission, all the approvals for
Yes.
any part.
In fact, that was the issue with conservation when Warren was going to develop, he was trying to develop the piece of property next to Bessie Park. He was having that issue initially, and the Conservation Commission waived it. Any other concerns, questions?
What did they waive? They don't have to hold a hearing? What did
Yeah, they had hearings.
they waive? I
The
mean,
50-foot restriction, they had to be from the waterfront, water's edge, I believe, wasn't it? Dave?
Yeah, it allows a developer to get parking for 79 cars is what the whole
Right,
thing.
I heard all that. I just, when he said the Conservation Commission is waiving it, I was curious, just what the, I was a little confused on what they were waiving, that's all. I'm fine.
Okay, any other discussion, gentlemen?
Now, the requirement without that is you just can't do anything. So, and I guess in onset, they were talking about if they kept it, it would have applied to places like Stashes and also the restaurant down by the river there. Yeah, Stonebridge,
Stonebridge, yeah.
right. So if there was work done there, again, those are within that 50-foot range. There's nothing planned that I know of in those areas right now. But the idea is to encourage people to use existing facilities or existing areas and improve them for the town and for themselves.
Okay, gentlemen, may I have a motion to approve, please?
Motion to recommend.
Second,
Motion's made and seconded. Any other discussion? There being none, clerk, would you please call the roll?
Bernie,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes,
Jody,
Yes.
Glenn,
Yes.
Dave,
yes.
myself, yes, 600.
Gentlemen, we're finished.
I don't think we voted on number 1 yet.
No, that's the only exception we have. And we don't have a figure on that. If it's exclusively the veterans issue, as I explained it, could I have a tentative approval? If it's more than that, I'll contact you all and we'll go over that again. So
Under those conditions, I will make a recommendation, make a motion to approve. If it's just the veterans issue.
Second,
motion's made. and
you beat me,
seconded.
Jody.
On the conditional approval, may I have the clerk call the roll, please?
Bernie,
Yes.
Tom,
yes,
Fast Gun, Jody,
Yes.
Glenn,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
myself, yes, 600.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. We have completed both ATM and STM. Good fortune, the STM is pretty much in the bag. Because David and I will have to make time to proof it. I'd like to include the votes, since there's a number of bylaws from the zoning. The planning board took their votes last night and their meeting conflicted with ours. I asked Bob earlier Bob, if it'll be on archive and I could listen to the meeting when I have nothing else to do. Hopefully it's raining and I can do that. So I would get their votes and include them in the wetlands and the bylaws changes. But other than that, I believe we're done. The only one, Glenn, if you're working on the the liquor issues and
I thought I sent that to you earlier today. I know you reached out to me about it, but I remember typing it. I thought I sent it back to you.
I just didn't check.
Well, maybe I didn't. Let me look as well too. Maybe it got put into the draft folder. Yeah, I actually sent it to you. I mentioned you might want to check with maybe like Alan and make sure that I got the information entirely correct in that.
Okay,
Back around 120, I think is when I sent it.
I have a question for Glenn.
Mm-hmm.
Is that your report card you're wearing?
You're hoping it's not the baseball team? All A's. Yes. I'm sorry, Tom. Don't worry. They haven't been relevant since the 70s. So I don't think
Glenn,
anything.
can I ask you to resend that, please?
Yeah, sure. I'll send it
In
right
fact, I
now.
didn't see it.
Yeah, I'll forward it back to you again.
Now, the town,
Which one? The Comcast one or the Gmail one? Because I get multiple ones that come up for you.
the Gmail, I'm sorry, Comcast.
Okay.
For some reason or other, Xfinity is doing something and they've got things confused. And for whatever reason, you start that and it comes off on my Gmail account, which I
Okay.
rarely ever use.
I just resent it. Let me know if you don't get it.
Okay. Nope, hasn't come in yet, but I'm sure it'll be there. I'll let you know if not.
Okay.
you very
Just
much.
let me know.
And that's all that's finished. Any comments, any questions, any concerns you guys want to mention?
Well, I don't know if you saw the thing that came up from Selectman Slavin about M&M notified Derek Tobacco just terminally died, $200,000 plus.
Where'd you see that?
The chat comment.
Wareham
I
chat?
didn't want to bring it up, but it's going to be brought up eventually. Yeah. If you
No,
look at
the chat on this Zoom.
on the
Oh.
Zoom meeting. Yeah.
So is that going to be
200,000
coming out of free cash?
That's what it says.
That's,
Yep.
yeah,
Did you
it'll
see
come
it?
out of free cash. Okay, I got it here. Oh, my goodness, my goodness, my goodness.
So I will make a motion that for a new backhoe, we will buy one for 200,000 out of free cash. I believe there was over $1 million in free cash that was available. Nice to have it, but we need to spend it for municipal maintenance for a new backhoe. I know they've been talking about that for a while.
Okay, may I have a second? I'm taking this seriously now.
Yeah, I mean, I would just, I mean, that's a piece of a necessity. I mean, it's not like you can go a while without it, but I would like a little bit of information on. I'll go for it so we can get things kind of wrapped up. But at some point,
All
could you
I,
ask-
okay, Jody, again, a conditional vote of approval. And we can, because I can think you can slip it into the spring capital, which is Article 2 on the special.
I think that's why they tried to get it in here tonight, that type of thing. But yeah, I mean,
Okay.
it's
David, can I have a second, please? David made a motion.
second.
A
And
condition.
Tom, maybe we can get the information that you were looking for.
Yep.
You know,
I mean, how much do we use a backhoe? Can we rent the damn? I mean, there's all sorts of other options. I'm sure.
They
I would
use
just like to go
backhoes a
through the
lot.
thought process.
Yeah, backhoes are a big piece of equipment for the maintenance departments. I just know that from experience.
Oh, yes.
They're I mean, you need that and you need
We
a
have a
payloader.
motion. Can I have a tentative vote? May I ask the clerk to call the roll, please?
Bernie,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Jody. Is that a tentative
Grin
yes,
here,
Tom?
Yes.
Glenn?
Well, I mean, it's crazy to do it this way. It really is not showing the discipline
But
that is needed.
my only problem would be if we don't get it in now, you got to wait till the fall town meeting.
Yeah.
I mean, I should remember how much it costs to rent these things by the month. But
He can come by and get it out of free cash. Or he can get out of the rainy day fund if we give him approval. I
But
mean, there are other ways to do it, but you ought to know, I mean, you just can't say, oh, it broke
that's why
down.
this is
I
a
gotta have
tentative
it."
vote.
Tom, the
Pending more
amount of money
information.
is out of, it has to be appropriated by town meeting. The only way to do it.
Glenn,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
myself, yes. That's 6-0-0 tentative yeses.
And I'll make sure we get the information by the end of the week.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll ask David to trailer the backhoe up to your house so you can check it personally.
No, I'm not the guy that's checking it, but I'd like to know how long we've had it, what sort of maintenance is on it, the whole deal.
I
Not sure
understand.
what the new ones are, how long it's going to take to get it. Will he be renting ones in between times? There's a lot of financial impact from something like this.
Oh, indeed, Tom. I'm
And
just
we-
trying to yank your
You
chain a
sit
little bit
back
there.
and say, fine, go ahead and do it. But
No, I'll make sure we get all the
we
information.
should know the facts.
Indeed, we will. Anything else, gentlemen? I believe this will be our last meeting till town meeting, which is May 8th. There's a map I've sent you a while ago that gives you the layout of the chairs, which will be, obviously, I don't know how many she's going to set out. I'm going to print 200 copies. I think that's reasonable. And we're going to have an opening coming up on the committee. Patricia, Pat is not going to continue her membership. It expires in June. So we do have an opening.
Bernie, you think the meeting will be a one-day event?
Yes, I believe so. There's a lot of issues. Some of these issues have been up, sitting on there for a long while. Almost a third of the articles on the annual were on the annual in the fall, and they were just passed on and moved to the consent agenda. But I don't see anything that's overly contentious. Some of them may be difficult to understand. Would be the one we got for the delivery, and maybe one or two others. But I think that's more the case of just not being able to understand them versus being contentious.
has there been any conversation of changing again with the numbers just ticking up slowly? I mean, it's just,
I've been concerned about that too, and I'm sure Claire has. And just to make you aware, if it's rescheduled, I leave for Florida on May 9th, the following day. And so your vice chair will have to conduct the meeting for the following week.
Southwest changes with no fees. Don't worry about it.
But we'll deal with it as it comes. I'm sure we'll handle it fine.
I'm not worried about the handling of it. Things just aren't going according to plan with this COVID in some spots, for whatever reason.
Anything else? Ken?
One question to go over with Claire, I guess, is figure out how many people are going to be there, what the check-in time is, whether it's a minute or a minute and a half, and how long she wants to have the check-in go on so that the meeting can go off on time. So, and how many little units she should have.
And because, as you just mentioned, with the COVID numbers going up, I think we're back in the red. If that continues over that period, she'll be having more difficulty, she and Michelle, of getting personnel to man those stations.
What time is the meeting scheduled for?
I think it's noon.
Is it noontime again?
I thought I read 11 a.m.
I thought I read 11 too.
Yes. I'll keep you posted.
Yes, on which 11 or 12?
Anything and everything.
Or whatever, huh?
It's
For
into
you,
you
it's
guys.
11:30.
You got as much paperwork as I have. Okay.
You don't want it to conflict with a marijuana delivery.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Motion is made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you. Stay safe.
Thank
We'll be
you.
in touch.
Thank you, Bernie. Good night.
Good night.
Night.
Good night, gentlemen.
Good night.